As we are all facing the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a community that's facing another virus on top of that. Hello, ladies and gents, welcome. So as we are all facing the COVID-19 pandemic, Asian Americans in the United States are facing another virus on top of that. Let's take a look at this.
So San Francisco police have arrested a man for pushing down an elderly Asian man, seriously harming him. Among the assault charges is, quote, injuring a person due to perceived race. It's the latest in a disturbing string of attacks that have targeted elderly Asians or Asian Americans in California and New York since the pandemic began.
A wave of violence against elderly Asian Americans putting communities across the country on edge. There have been more than 2,500 incidents of anti-Asian hate crimes reported between March and September of last year. Some of the attacks have been caught on video, and a warning now, they might be difficult for you to see. The 84-year-old Thai man shown here has died after police say a 19-year-old knocked him to the ground in San Francisco. The suspect has pled not guilty to murder and elder abuse charges. And this 91-year-old man brutally shoved to the ground in Oakland, California's Chinatown. Authorities have charged that suspect with assault and elder abuse related to 3 Chinatown assaults.
Turning 84 was a milestone for Vichar Ratanapakdi and his family.
Oh, happy birthday, Grandpa.
The San Francisco grandfather had just received the vaccine and stayed healthy through the pandemic, walking for an hour in his neighborhood every morning. It was on his walk when an unprovoked attacker ran across the street.
How did you find out what happened to your father?
The officer answered the phone, and then he told us, like, they found him, got assaulted. He got injury very bad about his brain breathing, and he never wake up again.
Yeah. The number of hate crime against Asian Americans has been skyrocketing since 2020. Since the COVID-19 virus came, a lot of Asian Americans have been facing hate crime. From being attacked on the street, from being attacked in subways, attacked in the restaurants, from facing in hotels, in restaurants, everywhere. Asian Americans are facing a lot of hate crime. Now, you know COVID-19 started in 2020. And so a lot of Asian Americans are being attacked because COVID-19 came from China. But I gotta say this. If you think to be more concerned about COVID-19 vaccine, you wouldn't attack somebody physically, okay? Even verbally at all, because that doesn't solve any problem. And you know those people didn't bring the virus. You know, everybody was traveling back and forth. And even if that person is from China or any country in Asia, they're not necessarily the person who caused the COVID-19 if it was even started by somebody. Oh, okay. And you don't blame somebody for something they didn't do. And so if you are very concerned about the COVID-19 virus, you wouldn't attack somebody because that's how you catch COVID-19. Okay? We are all facing this pandemic. And so if you were so concerned, you can't attack somebody because of that. So why? Look at that one. A 91-year-old man being attacked by somebody who's 19 years old. Why? I wonder if that kid is normal. If the 19-year-old boy is normal. Because I don't see the reason why you would attack somebody who's 91 years old walking on the street. Why? And this one attacking somebody who is 84, 80, his 80s. You see why this is so bad and more dangerous? Because it's one thing knowing that the police are unjust. It's one thing to know that the police sometimes shoot unjustly. It's one thing to know that some police officers are racist. But it's totally a different thing to know that somebody can attack you on the street at any time. That's just so dangerous. You know how traumatizing that can be? Like you're on the subway, you are worried. Walking on the street, worried. In a restaurant, worried. At the hotel, worried. Like, can people have peace for a second? Who is this kid who would attack somebody on the street? Somebody who's 91 years old. Somebody who's 80 years old. These are our grandfathers. And grandfathers are like people we like the most. Because they're so cool. They don't punish us most of the time. They're so cool. They treat you great. But these kids, what is this lack of education? Is this really hate against the Asian race? What is this? This is so bad. And now here, think about this. In 2020, most people have spent their time indoors, especially old men, because they are vulnerable to this virus. We've been saying that the old people are vulnerable. So most old people have been staying inside. Now, imagine with most people staying inside, then the number has skyrocketed in 2020. But in 2020, many people were quarantining, many people were confining, a lot of people were staying inside. So regardless, even though people were staying inside, there was still so much crime, hate crime incidents reported. Now, can you imagine if people were not confining? Can you imagine if we were not in the pandemic? Like if people were just outside? That's normal. There was more than 2,500 report cases of hate crime against Asians. And COVID-19, when we didn't spend all the time outside during 2020. Most people were just staying inside because of the pandemic. A lot of activities were closed. The restaurants, bars, and other stuff were closed. So there was not a lot of people that were moving. So very few people were moving. Okay? And still, we had this much number of cases reported. So this shows that this issue is very serious. Now, it seems like this is a big problem. Ladies and gents, may God be with us. May God protect us, and we're still together.